Austin, how's it going?
Good, man. This software is pretty cool. It's my first time using it, and I think I'm digging it. It's really cool.
It is awesome. It's organized, and actually we're getting a recording of it too. So it's good for me as a content creator. But what's going on, man? So you want to start investing in real estate? What opportunities exist given the current market conditions? Give me the 20-second spiel on your situation.
Sure. So me and a couple of my friends have been looking at. Just graduated college back in May, and we all have full-time jobs, and we're trying to figure out where would be a good place to invest in real estate because we're all living at home, have a bunch of cash to invest in.
When you say a bunch of cash, how much cash?
Around 10 grand each, and then also like parents would be willing to throw money and invest like in an opportunity if something popped up.
So are you talking like one of your parents could have like a couple $100,000 to put in a commercial real estate deal if you guys find the right thing?
Maybe not a couple hundred, maybe like 20, 30, I think.
Okay, I'm going to say that it's going to be pretty tough for you to get involved in commercial real estate with the amount of cash that you have right now. Pretty risky as well. Like I said, a single family home, duplex, house hacking, those things work really well if you have lower amounts of capital. But to buy a $500,000 a piece of commercial real estate, you really need $150,000, $125,000. Not saying like I didn't have wealthy parents. My dad, first deal that we did, I needed to raise $500,000. My dad put in 100. So that was a huge advantage for me. And I went around and found the rest of the cash, found it. Like anybody and everybody, all of his friends, the broker that sold me the piece of land ended up putting over $100,000 in the deal. You have to get resourceful and find people that want to put money in, but that's the risky way to do it, right? What I would recommend to you is to find a way to make some more cash and learn about real estate, study it, maybe broker it. So I know it might not be what you want to hear right now, but commercial real estate's a little bit out of reach if you only got 10 or 20 grand.
Sure. I mean, I just saw you tweeted a few times about kind of given what's going on right now, it'd be really tough to invest in, or it's not a good opportunity right now to invest in single family.
What market are you in? Where do you live?
I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't like that market right now. There's a lot of people are smarter than me though. A lot of people are smarter than I am when it comes to that. There's resources out there. I'm not in that market. I don't own single family, multifamily rentals. People do it well. So listen to smart people, but the people who are telling you to jump in on something that earns, I like the 100 times rule in almost every asset class. The monthly rent times 100. That's what your purchase price needs to be or better to cash flow an asset. And if it's higher than that, it's going to be a risky deal, in my opinion, to cover your debt service and to make money. So if you know what I mean by that, 100, if it's making $1,000 a month, you want to pay $100,000 for the property. If it's bringing in $2,000 a month, you want to pay $200,000 for the property. Those things are very hard to find in New Jersey. You're not going to find deals like that in New Jersey. You'll find them in Columbus, Indiana, or Binghamton, New York, but you won't find them in New Jersey.
So what would you recommend for maybe exploring other markets? And is that something you would do for one of your first properties?
I mean, what kind of guts you got, right? We built a $2.4 million self-storage facility when we didn't know what the hell we were doing. So it's all about what kind of appetite you have. I'm not going to tell you it's the wise thing to do though, but it sounds like you don't have a lot to lose. And another part of it, having an entrepreneurial background really helps, like learning, because commercial real estate is a small business, in my opinion. It is a small business. Like single family rentals, multifamily rentals, you get a tenant in there, you charge rent. It's kind of the same for everybody, unless you do short-term rentals on Airbnb or find a way to get more rent and get creative. Commercial real estate is an operational business. Like we are getting customers, we are doing marketing, we are leasing up space, we are chasing tenants, we are cutting costs. We're utilizing technology and software to make it all more efficient. That's what I love about it, because I ran a small business for 4 years before we even thought about real estate. So that was a huge advantage for me.
Got it. That's super helpful. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for asking. I think you might have clicked the button. Jordan, how's it going? You have a question about cap rates? I guess you took the quiz that I put out yesterday.
Took the quiz. It helped explain NOI, but I want to know a bit more about, at least for self-storage, what kind of factors influence cap rate?
Yeah, so I'll give the brief overview for people who didn't take that or don't know what a cap rate is. A cap rate, basically, you look at it as the interest rate on the money you invest in an asset. So if you pay $1 million for an asset at a 7 cap, it generates $70,000 a year in cash that it spits off. That's how cap rates work. People pay, and unfortunately, I can't go into too big of details here because we have 55 people in this chat, and not very many people of them have any idea what a cap rate is or net operating income is. But yeah, people are willing to pay more for less risk, right? So the cap rates go down if you're looking at a less risky investment. I mean, part of cap rates for me is, hey, what is this asset doing for me right now? What is the in-place net operating income that this asset is going to generate for me right now? That's part of it. But for every investor, you're going to own a piece of real estate for a long time. So you really have to think about the future. And cap rates take into effect into consideration, what is this asset going to be worth later? What are people going to think it's worth later? What is the market going to think it's worth? What are rents going to do? Are they going to go up? How likely is this net operating income going to increase or decrease in the future? So if you're buying a piece of property in Buffalo, New York, which people have been leaving for 30 years straight, you're not going to pay a low cap rate. You're not going to pay a lot of money for an asset in Buffalo because the future prospects are low. Even if it's cash flowing really well right now, you may not pay a ton of money for that asset. Whereas Austin, Texas, it might not be cash flowing very well right now at all, but the future prospects are great because everybody loves Austin. Everybody's moving there. Investor appetite is strong. So you pay a lot more, lower cap rates for those type of assets. So a cap rate it's nuanced. It's very nuanced. Like, what is it doing for me right now? And what it does for people is different for everybody. Net operating income for me is different from net operating income for other people. So there's a lot of nuance to it. In general, you have to think about what is it doing for me right now, and what is it going to do for me later.
Okay, well, thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. We're gonna get all these.
All right, so am I live?
You're live. What's up?
All right, so I'm gonna try not to be an idiot sandwich here. And so I'm 24, and my family was involved in a medical courier delivery company for, I think, 6 to 7 years, and it actually went under last year because of COVID. And now we have a lot of cash left over from that. And I'm trying to convince them to go into self-storage. My dad is really interested, and we're looking at some properties in Vegas, and just because we live in California, and I'm trying to tell them about the property tax rate and how it's just going to keep going up. And I've been following you for a long time. Huge fan, by the way. And so I'm wondering if you got any advice on which states to look at and which specific numbers do you look at when you're doing your DD?
Yeah, so property taxes are a huge risk where I do business too. Upstate New York, we are underwriting 10% a year property tax increases sometimes, and generally when we buy the asset, almost a 2x bump in property taxes when we get reassessed upon that. There's pluses and minuses. There's trade-offs everywhere. If that's priced in, and you can still get yield with that, with underwriting those things happening, you can still find yield, then it's worth doing it. But if you can't, then it's not. So I chase yield. I'm not worried as much about the property tax if I can cash flow. And even when I'm underwriting aggressively property tax increases, I'm not afraid to buy anywhere. But California is definitely a place where investors, look hard. And the more investors are looking at an area, the lower the yield is because the higher the competition. And somebody's always willing. If you're competing against 2 buyers, it's easier to get a good deal than if you're competing against 20.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
So your family you're sitting on $1 million. Is that, are you living off of that? Is that dwindling every month because you need it, or do you have other sources of income and this is just something you're looking to invest?
It's pretty much just something we're looking to invest right now. I'm 24. I got just about to graduate with an engineering job. I'm taking care of things. So is my older brother, and my parents are kind of just sitting on the sidelines right now.
Good. Yeah, sounds like you're in a great spot to go do something. I love it. And I wouldn't sleep on the opportunity of investing with operators as a limited partner, because you could do that with $1 million. You could put $250,000 with Chris Powers over in industrial real estate, and some out with an operator out in LA, and some out with somebody out in New York, and you can invest like $50,000 to $250,000 chunks with operators who do a really good job of operating real estate deals, and many times you can get the same tax efficiency, you can get the same appreciation, you can get the same cash flow because they're pretty darn good at what they do.
All right. Okay. Operator. That's a new word I learned. Thank you for that.
Syndicator, sponsor, the GP. There's a lot of words for that.
Mhm.
The people who put together real estate deals is basically the term. I call it operator because operators, many of them actually operate the real estate too. They run the business that is the real estate. I like people who do the operations and the lease up and things like that. But yeah, looking for people who put together deals and being a passive investor is sometimes a lot less risky than going to try to buy a $1 or $2 million self-storage facility when you have no idea what you're doing.
That's a good call. All right. I appreciate
But
it.
don't be afraid of it. I mean, on the other hand, don't be afraid of trying to buy something, right? If you think you can operate it, if you can get tenants, run a small business, you got to realize that commercial real estate is running a small business. So it's not passive, especially if you do it yourself. So if you need to come in and get tenants and lease it up or raise rents or do whatever you need to do, that's all part of it. So make sure you're competent at those things.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, if you do find a self-storage facility you're looking at, I help people look at them. So you can reach out to me on Twitter, and I'd love to look at a deal with you.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.